Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
You are tuning into the Goldilocks Productions presentation of the Angels and Healing Light Show. Sit back, relax, and be open to receive the angelic messages and healing channeled through your host, Laura Romeiro.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Angels and Healing Light Show. This is your host, Laura Romeiro, and I was so excited for the show to begin, I jumped the gun a little bit. So very, very happy to be back with you today. And as you know, my show is about angels and about healing and how both of these things can make beautiful changes in your life. So with that in mind, I am so absolutely delighted to bring to you today one of the most compassionate and wonderfully loving, kind, healing women, I think, in the universe. So that's a little bit beyond the planet. I had the great pleasure of meeting her recently and becoming one of her certified Medical Reiki Masters. I had the pleasure of meeting her here in Florida at Miss Carolyn Fowler's house, where she was able to teach many of us her beautiful gold standards of doing medical Reiki. Raven Keys is a certified medical Reiki master and founder of the Raven Keys Medical Reiki International. She is also a certified hypnotherapist and a guided meditation maven. She was the first to bring Reiki into the operating room of Dr. Oz. Yes, our Dr. Oz. She is presently working with some of the top surgeons in the country. They include Dr. Feldman and many other top surgeons that are helping to help people heal by allowing Reiki into their operating rooms. She has been providing Reiki to patients before, during, and after surgeries for nearly 2 decades. And based on this important work, she has created that elite team of Reiki Masters known as the RKMRI, Certified Medical Reiki Masters. We're trained to bring Reiki into the operating room into any medical situation. In the world of professional sports, Raven has introduced Reiki to athletes in the NFL and the NBA. She's also been featured in national magazines such as Vogue and W. Raven was named the best Reiki master in New York by New York Magazine and was televised as New Yorker of the Week for providing volunteer Reiki services for 8.5 months after 9/11. And in her award-winning book, The Healing Power of Reiki, she has many stories of some of the things that she experienced during that healing time after 9/11. Included in her second book, The Healing Light of Angels, Raven describes the ways in which the spiritual beings called the angels, you know I love my angels, and how they support her work. So she has many accomplishments, many accolades, and she's just one of the finest people in the world. So thank you very much for being with us today, Raven, and telling us about the pathway that you're carving and lighting and leaving a legacy for all of us in the future to help in our medical care.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Laura, for such a great introduction. My heart is just so touched. I'm so happy to be able to connect with you again. It's been a while, and it's just so wonderful. I love that we got to meet in Florida. It's such an incredible event. That was so fabulous, wasn't it? All the people
was amazing. There. And we broke the air conditioner. There was so much wonderful energy flying around there. We just froze the air conditioner right then and there. And it was very profound and life-changing for me and for many of us there. And I hope to bring that information to our listeners today, because I feel that what you do is so impactful and so important. So not only are you helping others to heal at such probably some of the most vulnerable times in their lives, but you're also helping the medical world understand that there are more ways that they can bring healing and positive results into their patients' lives, and I know they care very deeply about that.
Yes. Yes, the times are changing right now. It's a very good time to be involved in this work of the Medical Reiki Masterhood situation. It's really growing. It's global now. In a very short amount of time, it's become. There are people practicing now all over the world, and breakthroughs are being made because there's a confidence that comes from the training and then having that credential. Like, people pay attention that are gatekeepers, like the, surgeons, doctors, hospital personnel, administrators. They pay attention, and when you stand in your power in front of people like that, and you do have something that you can show and say, look, I know what I'm doing, and I can come into an operating room. You can trust me. You don't have to worry. I'm not a woo-woo person. I'm a professional. It makes a whole lot of difference, and breakthroughs are being made all over the world. Like, people are going into surgical events. It's really something. What's really great about it, from my point of view, is that we're doing this together. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about it. And it's about what can we do to change medicine and change the world at the same time. Because every time we show up somewhere with our Reiki lives, it changes the vibrations of everything. And Dr. Feldman speaks about that. He's spoken about it several times, about how having Reiki in the operating room changes the whole surgical event for everybody and focuses everyone on the fact that, these surgeons and doctors, they've gone to medical school. You can't imagine what they've gone through to get to the point where they're standing in an operating room. And they could only go through all of that, which is more challenging than we could imagine. And the only way they could get through it is to have a heart to be a healer. And that's what they love, and they wanted to do it. And then they find themselves, when all is said and done, in a world that isn't always so supportive of healing. It's really more about rules and regulations and what you can do and what you can't do and what you can say and what you can't say. And so there's this whole element of medicine, like especially in a surgery, everything becomes very mechanical. Okay, now we do this, now we do that. And it's almost like there's nobody there to take care of the patient. The patient disappears. But when there's a medical Reiki master in the operating room, everybody gets to remember why they went to medical school in the first place and went through all that. It's like, oh, my God, there's a healer in the room. And then they remember that's why they went through all that, too. And so it just really shifts a lot of things on a lot of levels.
I think that's so powerful and so profound. And the fact that you're saying they remember why they went to medical school in the first place. And you're right. I've had a lot of experience in the medical field, and it is about rules and regulations and a kind of an insurance-driven industry. So here is a patient that is facing, maybe it's not just surgery, maybe it's chemotherapy or some sort of other medical procedure that, of course, they're afraid of. If you've ever had surgery out there, ladies and gentlemen, you know what we're talking about. It's a very scary situation to face, and not only do you have to face that fear on an emotional level, your body faces the trauma, your psyche faces the trauma of having your body traumatized, and it's a lot to go through. And you go into that operating room and kind of cross your fingers, say your prayers, hope for the best. However, if you have someone like Raven or one of her medical Reiki masters with you during that surgery, holding that spiritual and healing space and providing constant healing energy to you before you go in the operating room, during the surgery, afterwards, Raven, share with us what sort of results are typically seen when someone gets medical Reiki during surgery or before?
Well, an ideal situation is if you can see someone who's going to go through surgery ahead of time. But that doesn't always work. For a lot of different reasons, it doesn't work out that way. Sometimes you end up meeting somebody on the day they're going to have their surgery, but the power of Reiki is so strong that you make such a deep connection with that person. They know that you're special. That even if they never had Reiki before, they can feel it immediately. And the way that it calms people down is just remarkable. So a patient gets calm, say in pre-op, they're really, really calm. The surgeons love that because that means that their parasympathetic nervous system is activated, and they're going to be able to receive the surgery and whatever they're going to do to the patient. It's going to work better because the patient is calm, because they understand that there aren't all these hormones running through their body like cortisol and adrenaline, which are so counterproductive to healing. Those things you don't want. But what you want is the parasympathetic nervous system to be activated. That's what happens. Sometimes in pre-op, people are so relaxed they fall asleep. Can you imagine? You're waiting to go to a surgery, but you're falling asleep. So then in the surgery, the angels have told me that, like you were saying before, Laura, when somebody has a scalpel and they're cutting into the body, it's not just the body that's being traumatized. It's every aspect of that person's being, their physical, etheric, emotional, mental, causal, buddhic, atmic, however you want to think about it. All those levels are being affected. So when there's Reiki present during the whole thing that's happening, there's a negotiation and a healing that takes place that goes through all the levels of a human life, not just the body, and it's like it's just really, really crucial that this get be more and more accepted into surgery. It's got to be. It has to be. The surgeries that are being performed now are more and more serious every day. I mean, imagine that we could use transplants now. There's so much that has to happen in a transplant surgery on the physical level, but on the emotional, spiritual, mental level, it's mind-blowing to think that, somebody is going to have a part of their body cut out and then somebody else's part put in them. It requires so much finesse and negotiation in the ways that Reiki just does it. We can't even begin to imagine like what the miracle is that we're able to be part of as people who work with Reiki. It's like from the universe. I've been working a lot on the whole what is Reiki, because I'm working on a book now about medical Reiki, and I have it's been purchased, and I have a pub date, and it's going to be released in 2021. It just takes so long for these things to go be, first of all, write the book, then all the things that have to happen afterward, and all the different people that get involved. Nevertheless, that's neither here nor there at the moment. But what is important about it is that I've done so much research and so much meditation, and I've asked the angels so many questions about what is it that we're doing? What is Reiki? And I was sent down this trail to E=mc², Einstein's special theory of relativity. You have no idea what this has led me to. I mean, I've been with Dr. Usui and asked him, what is going on? It's like Dr. Usui received the most profound information about the universe and the power to heal. And those symbols that he received came straight from whatever you want to call the God, goddess, source, universe, whatever. Those symbols are so important, and they are the carrier of this formula. And those symbols are just as important, if not more so, than E equals MC squared. Because E equals MC squared is a description of something, and the symbols and what we are able to actually give to people is the actual thing that is in the universe. It's not an expression of it. It is it.
Wow, Raven. I'm getting goosebumps as you're talking about all of this, and you're talking about Dr. Sui, and I'm just lighting up. That's very profound. So we're able to give them not the equation, but the actual results of that equation.
Yes. And, the symbols are an equation. They're a formula. They're a formula. For us to be standing in this light, it's like we are like the magnet, because we've been attuned to these symbols. We're magnets to this power. Oh, it's just so amazing. I could just burst into tears about it, really. I hope and prayed to the goddess and the gods and the angels and all that is good. I really, really am not kidding. So much I pray that I'll be able to, with words written on pages, be able to activate people's hearts or inspire them to understand just what we're talking about. You know what I mean, Laura? It's like I'm writing this book. It's for patients, doctors, medical students, practitioners, nurses, and anybody with an interest in energy medicine. And I say that right in the beginning of the book. This is a book for. Now, in the end, you never know what your editor is going to allow you to keep in a book, because they have their own amazing skills. And my editor is a genius. She's just unbelievable. This is my third time to work with her, and I'm so deeply grateful. But anyway, I'm just saying that, and it's like to really, a lot of doctors they're totally addicted, not addicted, but they're totally sure that only science matters. But in the book, I've done all this investigation. It's like the history of medicine it didn't start out this way. The angels kind of told me that the scientific revolution that started in the 1400s was really instigated. I can say this, but I can't prove it. I can say it to you. And to any Reiki people that are out there listening, you might understand this, but when there was all this persecution going on of witches and, healers and all this stuff, a lot of that stuff was made up. There weren't witches. They were like healers and traditional people who knew things. And so there was this scientific revolution that started, and Gabriel told me that they started it because they wanted to help those people that were being burned, because they didn't want to see that happening. It was like their compassionate hearts were awakened, and they were trying to protect those people. And so they started a scientific revolution. And what were they looking for? They were looking for what the ancients knew in the 1400s, in the early 1500s. They're looking for what the ancients do. And what the ancients knew was all based on what the power in the land is, and the spirits and the plants and the angels, and all of it. That's where medicine started. And the very first hospital was in Egypt. It's what we would call a hospital. Yeah. They were in temples in Egypt that were to the goddesses. And that's where people came to be healed. And it's just like very long history.
Well, I've got to say that when you're talking about you hope you can get your words onto the pages, I must say that you write with passion. You write with a passion that you're currently speaking about. And reading your first 2 books, they are filled with passion. They're filled with heart. They'll make you laugh. They'll make you cry. But you manage to get all of that energy onto the page, and it comes right off of the page. So it's honestly like you're sitting in front of the reader telling these stories and sharing all of this insight and sharing your meditations and prayers right in front. So have no doubt that your work is very, very well received and very much understood. So thank you. And I know that when you were here in Florida, you were talking about writing a book, and I'm so glad that you're working on that, because it's something that we all need to learn about and to understand. And as I said at the very beginning, you are really carving this path, and you're lighting the path for the future of healing and medicine, and you're leaving a legacy. So keep it up, sister.
Oh, thank you for the encouragement. Sometimes it's really harsh, and hard. And I have my moments where I think, who do I think I am? What am I doing? I don't know. It's just like there can be such resistance at moments. Like right now, some incredible things are happening. I founded this not-for-profit because Dr. Feldman asked me to, because once I started to train people in how to go into surgery, like we had been talking, we worked together for a lot of years, and he's like the breast cancer guru of everything in Montefiore Hospital. I hope you wouldn't mind that I said the word guru, because, he's so
I was thinking the same thing.
But he's really something with a huge heart and so much passion to make this happen, because he lost his sister to breast cancer, and he has his own story, which is actually on the website of the not-for-profit. But we're raising I'm not running the not-for-profit. I just created it, and it's run by a board of directors. But they're like working to raise money. And what's really exciting is that it's like the one time where we, the people, can make a research project happen, like $10 at a time. All these people that are Reiki practitioners are, making these little contributions. But it's sort of like, not to get political, but like, remember when Bernie Sanders was running for president last time, and the average donation to run a presidential campaign, which is so much more money than what his research is, was like $27, right? Was the average donation in the face of all this money that was being raised by other people. But nevertheless, this is the one time that we can raise this money and have something happen that will give us jobs as Reiki practitioners and change medicine for all the people that have to go through all these horrific allopathic treatments to save their own lives. And it's not easy, and they don't know if they're going to survive. And to have us there, and anyway, like usually research is done, the money comes from the pharmaceutical industry. They have billions of dollars to spend on research, right? Or from a technology company that's putting all the money into this research because they're going to sell a product. In our case, we're just going to bring ourselves, our hands, our connection to the universe, our love. Like, you cannot go and be with somebody who's going through all these kinds of treatments without having your heart open. Not if you're one of us. You just can't. We are here on this planet for a reason. We didn't get born right now for nothing. It's like we're here to make a difference, and we're going to make it. And so, people who are patients, people who are practitioners, people who have received Reiki and loved it are the ones giving this money And I invite anybody out there listening to just go and make a donation. Even if it's $10, it makes a huge difference. All those $10 add up and make research project. So it's www.
Where do they? Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's medicalreikiworks.org, O-R-G, medicalreikiworks.org, and you can make a donation there. And so what is this? What is the study about? It's to prove the power of Reiki in the operating room. The study's going to be done in the operating room. I mean, the work, and then you can't believe it. I mean, there are these major research people who have created this protocol. I mean, I just recently received it because this is moving ahead. The protocol goes into all the history of all the research that's been done on Reiki, and it's got the whole rationale for why this has to be done now, and it's focused on breast cancer, of course, because Dr. Feldman is the surgeon that's going to be in the lead, although there are, I think, 3 surgeons involved. And then myself and Lisa Wolfson, we're in charge of getting the medical Reiki masters organized who are going to go into the OR and do this work. And it's very specific. They can only say certain things. We have to write our own protocol. And it's unbelievable. And simultaneously with this, at Montefiore Hospital, which is where all this research is going to go on, and that's where Dr. Feldman has chosen to be because he brought his gifts intentionally to an underserved population in the Bronx. That's exactly what he wanted to do. He left his, a glamorous Columbia University surgery head. He was head of breast cancer there. And he told me that he was going to Montefiore because he wanted to serve people who wouldn't normally have access to what he's able to give. And that's what kind of man he is and what kind of doctor he is. And so while all this research is going to be going on at Montefiore, they are also building another part of the hospital that's going to be dedicated to integrative medicine. So all this is going to translate. Yeah, Reiki practitioners from all of this, they're going to be working there. And that's all, beautiful. This is really a big deal. I'm not kidding. Like this research project, to have the opportunity for we the people to donate to something that's going to serve all of us, all of humanity. And, it's just so we can have a profession, really. I mean, imagine that Dr. Feldman is this dedicated that he wants to make sure that Reiki practitioners are able to go to work and bring their gifts to people who are suffering. It's amazing. It's really, truly amazing.
And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you a little bit. Dr. Feldman, Sheldon Marc Feldman, MD, he is the chief of Division of Breast Surgery and Surgical Oncology. He's also the director of breast cancer services at the Montefiore Einstein Center for Cancer Care. This is the clinical arm of the National Cancer Institute designated Albert Einstein Cancer Center. That's who is part of conducting this study. So this is a gentleman that is well accomplished, well received, well known, and is well experienced in the world of having Raven and other Reiki practitioners help his patients. He has stated that, during surgery, when Reiki is administered, patients seem to do much better because there's less bleeding. Surgeries went more smoothly. Almost no pain was present a day or two after surgery, and the patient seemed to heal faster. I like that. And I know that you've commented that I've heard you comment that during surgeries, he's noted aloud that the skin is warmer to the touch than is usual during surgery, and that's one of the things that has helped with the healing process and the calm environment in the OR. Everything just went more smoothly, and I would prefer my surgeries to be smoother. God, I hope I don't have to ever have one. But so all of these things that are being discovered, all of these things that are being experienced are now being studied to a very great degree in order to help all of us have an easier time healing. So please, ladies and gentlemen, if this is important to you, please reach out to the medicalreikiworks.org site and take a look at it. It's really a fascinating story, and there's some very top-notch surgeons and medical staff that are involved in this. We all know Dr. Oz, of course. He's part of multiple Reiki studies. So he's not alone. There are many other trauma surgeons, many types of surgeons. I know that one of your students is works in one of the Carolina states, I believe. And there's a trauma surgeon that has one of your Reiki practitioners on speed dial, I think, for somebody that comes in from a traumatic injury, and they're kind of on standby. Can you please come in? I've got, a trauma here that I'm going to go into the OR for. It's also utilized you like to use it a lot in chemo suites, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
And some of the other indications. Where else can we utilize medical Reiki?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's interesting how much research needs to be done. And this is the first time that, to my knowledge, that there's any research that's being done that's in the OR, like for the operating room. There have been a lot of small studies done about Reiki in different ways, and even though I've been reading things about there's Reiki for surgery, it's when you start reading the article, then you realize it's pre and post-op, which is great. It is great. It's so powerful. And a lot of the people that take the training, even if they can't get into the operating room, the surgeons, because they want to make the patients happy, which is a big deal in today's world with insurance companies, there's all this thing about patient experience. And so they want the patient experience to be good because the insurance companies are monitoring this, and it can have an effect in the end as to whether or not that insurance company is going to keep working with a particular surgeon or hospital or whatever, which affects payment in the end for their services. But nevertheless, this is the first time that this has been being done in the operating room, and specifically for breast cancer. No study's been done in the OR as far as I know. And I've just been reading through all this protocol. I mean, study after study after study after study, but there's nothing I can find even in this really well-researched protocol that's been written at Einstein Medical School and by the research team up there led by Dr. Allison Modell. It's like phenomenal. So it's great that we're going to have it in the OR. And and with chemotherapy, one thing that's been noticed is that if people have this medical Reiki during chemotherapy, they don't get sick. Nobody gets sick. I mean, it's unbelievable. The doctors can't believe it. With some of these chemicals, people will have their hair fall out, but they don't get sick. They don't spend time in bed. They might get tired a couple days later, but, life goes on. They continue. It's pretty profound. So that's another study that Dr. Feldman wants to do after this one. But this is going to be the granddaddy of all studies on Reiki up to this point in time, because there's a pilot study that's going to happen, and then there's a major study that's going to follow after that. Using the data from the pilot study, they'll learn a lot. And, it's really phenomenal.
That's wonderful news. That is wonderful news.
Mm-hmm.
I love that the medical profession is investing all of this time and effort in making this happen. I just feel I've seen Reiki do miracles. There's no other way to describe it. And sometimes it takes 5 minutes to work. Sometimes it takes multiple treatments. Every time and every person and every situation is different. But from my personal experiences as a Reiki master, I've seen astounding, miraculous things happen. So, who wouldn't want it? And may I just take a minute to say hi to my mom. Good morning, Mom. She listens every week, so everybody wave hi to Mom.
Hi, Mom.
I know that I've got some callers. I'm not doing readings this morning. I do want to hear your questions about medical Reiki or Reiki if you have one. If you have a question for Raven about the medical Reiki, then I would love to hear from you, but I'm not doing readings this morning, okay? Stay tuned, however. Raven, tell us about your Raven Keys medical Reiki training for all of the medical Reiki masters and budding Reiki masters out there.
Yeah, the training is available to someone who's already a Reiki master. My business manager, I think you met my dear Chris, Laura. Mm-hmm. He's very astute and makes sure that, first of all, we receive the Reiki Master certificate of the person who wants to take the training, and any lineage is fine. You don't have to have it trained through me and my clan at all. The only thing is, nobody will be able to take the medical Reiki training who has just taken an online course. We don't consider that to be sufficient. This is really serious work, and you have to really, really be practicing as a Reiki master before you should entertain this idea. But yes, and then people come and we make sure like we're like a clearinghouse, which is really good because in the end, the medical world is going to be very seriously strict about who they're going to allow in to do these things in their hospitals, in their operating rooms, and so on and so on. So it's really, I'm proud of the way Chris handles everything, and he's like the clearinghouse to make sure that everybody that takes the training is really qualified to take it. And then we have we just get together and I talk about everything that goes on in the operating room, everything that might happen. I mean, there are always unexpected things, but if you're really, you understand like the whole culture and what could happen, it really is such great preparation for the moments when you go into the OR or into any situation where you can bring your gifts. People who have graduated from the training, if you will, or become certified, you get a 63-page manual of all kinds of things, and then including like protocol, the best practices, gold standards, everything, and then people who are been certified can join this special Facebook group where everybody who's a medical Reiki master has been invited to join. So there's a lot of information and things posted up, and then there are files that you can download of different things that you can use to go and speak to a surgeon or to a doctor or a hospital administrator or people who've done incredible things, opened. We have just on the top of my head right now because it just has been publicized a lot lately. There are 2 CMRMs down in North Carolina. They teamed up and they created this this cancer treatment. They're being paid by the hospital to bring medical Reiki to children with cancer, and they're so joyous, and they bring such good energy into that environment. Yeah. So if anybody's interested and wants to pursue this, we have the trainings listed. There are several coming up in the autumn all over the country, actually. And so website is www.raventievesmedicalreiki.com. And there's a page, a trainings page with all the trainings listed. Yeah, it's an honor to be able to do this. And the reason I'm doing it, Laura, is because of the angels. Like Gabriel told me I needed to teach other Reiki masters everything I know about going into surgery. And Gabriel said, it has to happen. It's got to happen. And I never tried to do anything. Like I never planned to have a career that had anything to do with surgery, hospitals, anything. It just happened, and I followed Gabriel's advice from the beginning because I didn't want to go to surgery with Dr. Oz. It was the last thing I wanted to do. But then in a Reiki session with the person I actually ended up going to the surgery with, Gabriel came and said, you have to say yes. And there's a lot that needs to happen from this. And so then, that was then. And then all the way to, years later, then Gabriel, and I was in a really bad space. My husband was dying. It was really a bad time for me. And I was comforted by Archangel Gabriel on this, really, it sounds kind of bizarre or maybe too coincidental for words, but I was actually on a mountain. And I was crying. I can laugh about this now. That's the healing power of Reiki, right? But and then Gabriel came to me and comforted me, and then told me for to continue my healing, there was this other mission that they were asking me to assume, and it was, to teach other Reiki masters everything I had learned about going into surgery. And I humbly say that I can't even believe what's happened. It's like really unbelievable what's happened following the angelic guidance. I just can't get over it. I never tried to do anything really except, help people who are so jammed up with their back up against the wall. And like when you look in somebody's eyes and they are so terrified and they're so upset that they have to have chemotherapy and, have drugs put into them that they know are poison, and you can smell it like when it's coming right then and there when it's coming out of the bottle into the arm. It's just, or whatever, it's just horrible. And the only thing I really have to say, the only reason why I'm on this phone with you right now and all this stuff has happened from then until this very moment in time is because of the fact that I felt like I could not abandon people in spite of the fact that I was nervous, I was scared, I had to be in the presence of these doctors with their huge educations, and they worked for years and years and years and trained forever, and I'm in the presence of them, little old me, and it's like, it was really the only reason I could withstand all of it. I've been yelled at, scorned, disrespected, a lot of things. I don't want anybody else to have to go through that, number one, but it's happened to me. And the only reason I've been able to go through it all is because of the fact that when you look in somebody's eyes and they're just desperate for some kind of hope, and they're just so scared, and you know that you can do something for them. That's the whole foundation of everything that's happened and up until this moment in time, including now this research project.
Which is, your story is, I talk about this all the time on my show. If you follow your faith, if you follow your heart, and even though that wasn't your heart at the very beginning, but it was your faith that put you on and it was your heart, of course, but it wasn't a force that, I just woke up every morning and I had to do this. It was in my heart to do. You were guided to do it, and you had the courage and the faith, and you listened, and you've gone through all of those challenges, and you've gone through, reading your books, you've gone through some significant challenges, but you faced other people's significant challenges with them and have helped so many people heal that were in such terrible times, terrible situations, reading your stories about 9/11 and reading stories about your friends, that had gone into surgery and how it affected their families and their loved ones. So it's not just the patient you're helping, it's their families as well. But reading all of those stories and having that faith to continue, even though it hasn't always been easy and it's been challenging. So I talk about this all the time, that we're many times in life faced with choices and not always easy ones. And so if we keep the faith and we keep our hearts open and we listen to that divine guidance and our angelic guidance, we get taken to places where we might find it to be very surprising and very different than what we anticipated, but nonetheless, it manages to work out because that's one of the places we're supposed to be. So she has engaged in that. She's enveloped it, and now Raven is making a difference all the way around the world, with not only with her experiences and sharing her experiences, but with teaching other Reiki masters how to help in situations like that, and now getting involved in this incredible research project that is also going to change the future of medicine and care. So, everyone, I really encourage you to look on the medicalreikiworks.org site and look it over. And please, if it's in your heart, please donate what you can to that, because I truly believe in this. I truly believe in it, and it's going to make a difference to you, your loved ones. So think about that, if you will. Right.
That's the thing. It's like, this is really, like breast cancer is practically an epidemic. It's unbelievable how many people have it. And it's, I don't really know anybody, actually, at this time in my life, where every single person knows somebody who has breast cancer or who has gone through breast cancer, and it's overwhelming, and it's, from my point of view, I think it's the scariest thing that there is to have to go through, for a woman to have to give up her breast or her breasts and all the ramifications of what that is, chemotherapy, radiation, all the breast cancer is about all of it. It's like facing everything. The fear that can make you go crazy, it's like madness can come in the midst of having to do this. And for us, like, to be able to take care of somebody by giving them Reiki from the minute of their diagnosis, when all those hormones are released of cortisol and adrenaline and, the shock and all the, it becomes toxic. Like, the release of all those chemicals becomes toxic, and it happens immediately. And, that's what I'm about, really, to tell you the truth. Like, my vision is that we will be working with surgeons, with doctors, will be part of their office staff. And then we'll be able to take care of these people from the minute that they're diagnosed and go all the way through their treatment with them. The one person that's never going to not be there for them, and even have teams of us working in doctors' offices. And the doctors need what we have as well, because they're really lined up to suffer from secondary trauma. It's really a big deal. So that, for one thing, they can get relief knowing that we're taking care of their patient in ways they can't do it, and they know that their patient is suffering. They know it, but they can't even go there. If they keep going there, they're not going to be able to do their job. So they have to be cut off from understanding that their patient is suffering, but they're a human being before they're a professional healer. They're first a human being, so they know that. And if they understand like what we are doing and what we can do for their patients, they will want us. They'll just be beyond happy to have us to look after their patients. It relieves them. And then also they need Reiki. I mean, it's been incredible. A couple of us have actually had surgeons ask for Reiki before they did a surgery. Imagine that. That's where this has already gotten to. And you know what? It's only 4 years old. This whole company, this whole event, this whole teaching Reiki masters how to go into surgery and all, creating medical Reiki masters is only 4 years old, let's see, and maybe 4.5 years old. And already
gaining speed.
Yeah.
Working in the medical profession, I've had multiple doctors that would come up to me and say, Laura, please, can you just do Reiki on me for 5 minutes, please? And I'm okay, let's go.
Gosh.
My feet are killing me. Please, can you just work on my feet for a few minutes? They're killing me. Or, I just need a break. Can you please do some Reiki? And then, boom, back to work. And you could just tell that even if it was just 10 minutes, it was such a big sense of relief for them. May I quote something you wrote in your book, The Healing Power of Reiki? I think this is really a profound statement. And you write that it is important to note that there is a place inside every one of us where there is peace. And this place can be found and experienced during Reiki sessions. So it's just so true. No matter what you're going through or what someone's going through, that place of peace can be found. And when you find that place of peace, the healing can be found in there. The insights can be found there. The rest can be found in that place. And it can give relief to all the overwhelming trauma and drama and stress and all the other myriad of emotions and happenings. So just remember, everyone, that no matter what you're going through, you do have that place of peace inside of you. So look for it, find it, and hold on to it. It's there. Raven, do you mind? I have one caller, so I'm just going to take 1 minute to talk to Mr. Nathaniel here. Hi, Nathaniel. Do you have a question about Reiki?
No, I'm seeing if I could get an angel card. What you?
Well, I'm not doing that right now, Nathaniel.
Okay.
I'm kind of just working on our Reiki today with Raven, and so check in with me next week, and I will be sure to get you one. Okay?
What?
I said check in with me next week, and I will make sure to get you one. Okay?
Go ahead. Go. Bye.
All right, my friend. Talk to you later. All right.
Angels are letting us know that they are definitely listening in and on point.
Yes, absolutely. So, Raven, what else? You've talked about so many. I mean, your passion just shines and glows, and I can feel it all the way here. I can feel it. And you've talked about so many things, and I could talk about this forever, and I know you could too. What else do you think is the most important thing for, let's say, the person that's not familiar with Reiki, or the person that just doesn't have a clue, that's going through a difficult time or facing one, or knows somebody that is? What do you think would be some advice for them? How can they help themselves? How can they help others? So those were a lot of questions I just threw at you. Sorry.
Well, one thing is that Einstein said that experience is the greatest teacher, and Albert Einstein. And I think that if a person doesn't know anything about Reiki, that's good. I mean, it's really actually very good if you just enter the experience without any expectation. And experience itself will teach you, like, what this practice really is and what it can do for you. And like in my case, when I felt Reiki for the first time that was given to me by my yoga teacher, I never even heard of it. I had no idea what it was. And she gave me some Reiki, and the minute I felt it, you can feel it. It's an experience. I wanted to be able to bring that to other people. It just, when Reiki comes knocking at your door, your feet are put on a path. You have no idea where the path is leading, but it feels like destiny to you. Like you can't, you want to follow the path because it feels so good. And there is a lot of faith in putting your feet on the Reiki path. And but for some, it's really, really, really your destiny and your path to be a receiver and be able to speak to other people about what it's like to receive Reiki from your own experience, because that in and of itself can make a huge transformation in your own sphere of influence. And not only that, if you're a receiver of Reiki, your vibrations are raised, and that is the language of the cells. And even if you didn't speak about Reiki, the cells and other people that you interact with, they hear the song of your life, the language of the cells, and they respond to it. So you can actually activate beauty and healing and evolution in another person just by being a receiver of Reiki.
That's beautiful. Yes. Allowing people to give is also very important. Allowing people to give. You work with, in your other book about, you write about angels and healing, and I know they make such a big difference in your life. You talk about Archangel Gabriel quite often. How did you come about meeting Archangel Gabriel?
Well, it's funny. I think if all of us remember childhood, there's always been something going on. But Gabriel came to me when I was a child, in my own awareness of Gabriel, when I had an accident. And then, so, you know, when you're a kid, you don't think anything of magical, or what we might call magical things as an adult. We don't think anything of it. It just seems normal. So, you know, then I had a relationship with Archangel Gabriel. I didn't know it was that being, but I didn't know that until I started practicing Reiki, or trained in Reiki, rather. So in 1995 so that's when I found him again. But then by the time I was an adult, I thought, no, what am I, crazy? And it's like, I thought I was losing my mind. I really actually did. Or I thought, oh, I must be because I was an actor when I started doing Reiki. It didn't. Soon thereafter, everything changed once I trained in Reiki and got those attunements. Yeah.
I have about, I think, a minute, maybe 30 seconds left. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming today, for coming to Florida, for all that you teach. And please, ladies and gentlemen, take a look at her website, www.medicalreikiworks.org, or Raven Keys. Is it ravenkeys.com?
RavenKeysMedicalReiki.com.
MedicalReiki.com. If you'd like to learn this fabulous way of helping people in medical situations, then please reach out and find out. But thank you all for listening. Thank you, Raven. And by the way, I'm looking at St. Bridget's lit candle right in front of me today. And and I thank you all, and thank you so much. Thank you, Tiffany White Sagewoman, for helping this happen, and many blessings to one and all. Thank you, Raven. Lots of love.
Thank you.
I'll see you all next week.
Thank you. Bye now. Mwah.
Bye-bye, everyone.